Yesterday, we read the first part of the Dred Scott case, and we did paragraphs, I believe. Let me go back. We did paragraphs 1 through 4 together, and you guys had to do 5 through 10 on your own. So today we're picking up on paragraph 11, and we're going to stop at 14, and then you guys are going to do the last bit of it on your own as well today. So remember, key details are the most important details that relate back to what the title is. That's a good way to remember it. So the Dred Scott decision, and the main idea is taking those key details to form what it's mainly about. So let's get started. Paragraph 11. The first trial began in June 1847 in Missouri State Court. Scott lost. In a new trial, the court found for Scott and his family, declaring them free because they had lived in a free state and a free territory. So this paragraph, I read that Scott started his case in the Missouri State Court in 1847 and lost. In a new trial, the court found for Scott and the family was declared free. I'll underline those key details. So in June 1847, Scott lost. But in a new trial, they declared them free. So how confusing is that? One court says that you lost, you're going to remain a slave, and then the other one says that you're free. All right, let's see how it plays out. Paragraph 12. Eliza Emerson was not happy with this decision. Some say she didn't want to lose the earnings she made by hiring the Scots out to others. She appealed the decision, asking that the case be heard again in a higher court, the Supreme Court of Missouri. In 1852, this court overturned the earlier ruling, saying that Scott and his family were still slaves. I read that Mr. Emerson wasn't happy and appealed the decision. So in 1852, a higher court overturned the earlier ruling. The Scots were still considered enslaved people. So we're going to go ahead and underline that she appealed the decision, and then the court overturned, and the Scott were still slaves. So again, now it's back to that they are slaves, because Miss Emerson did put an appeal in, and the judge thought in her favor. All right, paragraph 13. Scott didn't give up. He continued his fight in the United States Circuit Court. However, in 1854, that court also ruled that Scott and his family were still slaves. Earlier, slave states like Missouri had sometimes freed slaves who had lived in a free state for a long time. This is why Scott thought he had a chance, but opinions against freeing slaves had hardened in the meantime. So Scott took his case higher to the U.S. Circuit Court, but in 1854, that court also ruled that Scott and his family were still enslaved people. So the text explains opinions about slavery hardened. So he decided to essentially appeal himself, and they decided that they were still slaves, and it doesn't help right now that people's opinions have hardened at this time. So they're not really willing to compromise like we heard or read about yesterday in our reading. So now people are really like, nope, we all need to agree, either for slaves or against slaves. If not, there's going to be issues. So let's continue on to read. Paragraph 14, page 17. Still, Scott fought on. In December 1854, he took his case to the highest court in the land, the United States Supreme Court. The trial began in February 1856. 10 long years had passed since Scott had started his legal fight for freedom. By this time, people all over the nation were following the case. With tensions high, both Southerners and Northerners had a big stake in the results. So in that paragraph, I read that Scott fought on, and that he took his case to the Supreme Court in 1854. And the trial started in 1856, and both Southerners and Northerners had a big stake in the results. So we're going to underline that. Both Southerners and Northerners had a big stake in the results. Took it to the Supreme Court. Okay, so looking at that information on 11 through 14, I can come up, I believe, with a main idea to kind of let us know what's going on in that section. So I'm going to type it over on this. I don't care if you do it in the margin of 16 or 17, you can choose. So a lot of it that mainly talking about was there was a lot of back and forth with the Dred Scott case. He was freed, and then he was not. He decided, so actually not he decided, let's say the case was taken to the Supreme Court. So please get that down in the margin. Now, on your own, you are going to finish reading the story, so paragraphs 15 through 20. You're going to underline key details on your own and come up with a main idea for the rest of it.